I believe we are recording, and so let me welcome you all on behalf of District 6440 of the Rotary International World to our monthly mental health speaker series that has been organized by Sharon Weingarten. And we have been very successfully talking about a variety of different topics involved in mental health. And today, I think again we hit the ball out of the park. It's spring training season with a topic that doesn't necessarily spring to mind when people are thinking about their emotional or mental health. But as we're going to learn from Greta, our speaker today, what you put into your mouth does have an impact on your mental health and your emotional well-being. So welcome to those of you who have joined us again. And Sharon, I don't know if you want to say anything else, or we can get right to Greta.
Let's get right to Greta.
Okay.
All right, let me share my presentation with all of you. And then somebody is monitoring the chat, correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So all you have to do, I do not mind being interrupted if there are questions on certain slides. So please do not hesitate to raise your hand or ask any question at any time.
And Greta, if you could just tell us a little bit about your background for those of you who, for those of us who haven't read the flyers in advance.
Whoops. Sure. Sorry. Let me just move this up here. And I don't know where my screen share just went.
It's
Sorry.
there. It's up. Well, oh,
Is it up? Okay.
You're
For some
good.
reason it was not
I'm
showing for
seeing the
me.
brain. I'm seeing food and mood in the brain.
Awesome.
Good. Yeah, it's up.
Great. So just a little bit about me. Sorry, hold on. This is, whoops, sorry. Let me get back here. So I am Greta Nielsen. I am co-owner of Illuminate Therapy and Wellness. We are a holistic counseling center in Palatine, Illinois. We service all over, believe it or not, the state, though, with teletherapy, just based on some of our specialties. We're a very specialty-driven practice where each of our therapists has their own special niche. We all work with a lot of the same disorders, but maybe we all have a different approach to it. And then we have also special niche within that. So anything from perinatal postpartum to working with the deaf and hard of hearing. We have somebody who does sign language, and then I am the eating disorder specialist here. So this is part of where the whole food and mood comes in for me. I have been in this field for well over 30 years and have just seen so much of this nutritional component affect people's mental health, not just with eating disorder population, but just those with mood disorders, anxiety, ADHD, neurodivergence population. So that is something that is a big passion of mine. My disclaimer is I am not a nutritionist. I am not a dietitian. I just learn a lot from them. I read a lot. I go to a lot of trainings on it. So I really incorporate it within my sessions, but I'm always referring to a nutritionist or dietitian or a physician to be able to help monitor some of that. So please take what I am saying, right, with stuff that I've learned from other people. I have a couple of quotes from different people that I have worked with, but always encourage, do not make all of these changes without talking to your physician first to make sure if you're doing any kind of supplementation or changing your diet for any reason, we always want to make sure that it's aligned with whatever else might be going on with your body and brain. So without further ado, I will go forward. So basically, important to note that research does indicate, and I didn't go through all of the research to let you know that, but you can Google food and mood and you will see tons of research out there that diet does influence our mood. It brings about different changes within our brain structure as well as our gut, which leads to altered behavior. And I think all of us can probably know when we eat certain things, we feel different, right? Whether it's even sluggish or energy isn't there, but we can also realize sometimes I might even be more irritable. I'm more sleepy. And then also important to note that it just takes 2 hours worth of stress to completely change your gut bacteria. This is the stuff that is in your gut, your stomach. It's the stuff that is responsible for making many of the brain chemicals that promote healthy mood, focus, and emotional regulation. And we'll talk a little bit more about all of those. So again, the link between the food mood, the gut-brain axis. So there is a big nerve called the vagus nerve, and it goes from your gut all the way up to your brain. So whatever we're putting, whatever gets in there, whatever stays in there, is also sending messages right to your brain. So we know that there is a direct impact on how we feel physically, mentally, and emotionally based on what we eat. So diet has a significant impact on our concentration, our energy levels, and our overall mood. We want to pay particular attention to what and how we feed ourselves so that we can start to see how we can support our own mood, attention, stress, and behavior. And we'll talk a little bit more about that near the end of the presentation, how you can maybe do that for yourselves. Food and diet is one area where simple shifts can have a big impact on our mood and emotional functioning. Therapy can take a while, right? There's lots of things that we can do to support our mental emotional health. It is not just one thing, but food and diet is something that can have a direct impact and rather quickly. And then again, research suggests that eating a healthy and nutritious diet can improve mental health, enhance cognitive skills like memory, concentration, and improve academic performance. So the gut-brain connection. Meg Bowman is a clinical nutrition specialist. She's a licensed dietitian, and she's the founder of Nutrition Hive. It's a great integrative functional nutrition practice. I work with her a lot with some of my clients, and she's written an article for us, and I'm taking some of that excerpt here. So as she says, much like Vegas, right? What happens in your gut doesn't always stay there. So in other words, right, the chemical messages made by your gut bacteria migrate via that vagus nerve to influence our brain chemistry, neurotransmitters, and even our mood. So how does this happen, right? Our gut is filled with lots of microbial information that provides constant communication to the brain. Some messages are positive and can induce feelings of safety, comfort, happiness, joy, right? Other messages can be more challenging and produce inflammation that can cause depression. Stress and the gut, right? Stress-related disorders contribute to an alteration of the gut lining. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the term leaky gut, but this basically is an inflammatory chemical message that lipopolysaccharides, LPS as they're called, to more readily travel to your brain. So if we don't have all of that protective layer, things get out and they go up to our brain. So certainly there are lots of ways that we can help decrease stress through relaxation techniques, but you can also work with a nutritionist or dietitian to select foods and supplements that have been shown to lessen the perception of stress within your gut and your brain. Examples are foods high in omega-3 fatty acids, salmon, chia seeds, walnuts. We'll give a lot of other suggestions too as the presentation goes on. Saffron is also a potent anti-inflammatory that is frequently used to relieve depression, just so you know. Again, your gut messages with food, right? Fruits, vegetables, and other foods such as cocoa are rich in anti-inflammatory compounds. Also for the chocolate lovers, one study has showed increased calmness and contentedness within 30 days of consuming a daily drink containing cocoa polyphenols. And that is more of the cacao. It is not just go out and eat a Hershey bar, right? This is dark chocolate with those specific polyphenols that have that effect. Blueberries are another great neuroprotective option. In a study in healthy 12 to 17-year-olds, daily blueberry consumption for 4 weeks resulted in fewer self-reported depressive symptoms. So always remember to have some blueberries on hand. Choosing foods that are blue, purple, dark red is a great choice. So like eggplant, plums, berries, peppers, beets, purple carrots, and potatoes. Anytime you can include those will always have a great protective factor to our gut. The other thing about our gut is if you guys hear about probiotics, prebiotics, it's a big thing right now. And there's so much research going on and how effective this is. You can do it through a probiotic medication over the counter, but then also there are foods rich in probiotic things like naturally fermented sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, miso, and unsweetened yogurt. definitely can help build good gut bacteria. So if you know, like I've just, even those people with IBS, any kind of gut issues, you're just always bloated, you have a lot of gas, your gut is telling you, it's sending you messages that something's going on and we need to help protect it. So this is one area to be able to start with, is trying to say, can I introduce some of these foods? For a lot of people, these are not the favorite foods. They're not always the most tasty, but they're really good. If those you just can't seem to swallow, then certainly there are great probiotics out there on the market, but do your research first. Ask your doctor what might be best for you, because everybody's gut is individual. And so not every probiotic works the same for everybody. So again, studies show a healthy and diverse gut microbiome that positively impacts the production of serotonin, which is the chemical that affects our mood and sense of well-being, as well as sleep and digestion. And a higher frequency of fermented food consumption is associated with fewer symptoms of social anxiety. So plain unsweetened yogurt. And again, this is typically the Greek yogurt, but there are non-dairy yogurt versions as well. And you can always add some honey or berries into it if you feel like you need something to sweeten it up. Kefir is a fermented drink, usually made with cow's milk or goat's milk, and it can be plain or flavored. There also is one made with coconut water for a non-dairy version. Sauerkraut, the important thing about this is getting it in the refrigerated section of the grocery store. Kraut on the shelf that has vinegar as a main ingredient does not contain the probiotics that are important. So if you're going to eat sauerkraut, don't get the jar on the shelf, go to the refrigerated section. And it's normally in where the vegetables are. There's like a refrigerated section where the tofu and that kind of stuff is. This is where you'll find sauerkraut kimchi, which is the next one. Kimchi is a Korean dish of fermented vegetables, a lot of cabbage. It has flavorings such as garlic, ginger, salt, and chili peppers. And again, look for the commercial kimchi in the refrigerated section. Tempeh is made from fermented soybeans and it's pressed into a compact cake. It's also found near the tofu. And then miso is a Japanese seasoning that is made from fermented soybeans as well. Has salt and koji. It's a type of fungus. And miso can be made to use soups. It's used with vegetables, marinate meats with it. Again, this can be found in the Asian food aisle. Lastly, kombucha. It's a fermented tea and it comes in all sorts of flavors and varieties. And because everybody knows that this is such a great probiotic, you'll see kombucha made from like everyone. I think even the Coca-Cola and Pepsi products are making their own kombucha now. So be careful with what you're getting and look for, the all natural, unsweetened or naturally sweetened kombucha. So now I'm going to switch, obviously, as we're still talking about food, I'm going to switch a little bit from the focus on the gut, but just also all of the different nutrients that we can add to our body that can help our mood. So optimizing brain function for focus and attention, right? What we want to do is have a plan rich in protein and vitamins to help control symptoms of attention deficit disorder. But remember, you can eat all the protein, vitamins, and vegetables you want, but then if you're having 5 Coca-Colas a day, you're really not balancing it out well. So you really want to try to avoid some of those sugars, artificial flavors, and common allergens as well. High fructose corn syrup, really not going to be effective if you're doing that. So you really want to be able to balance it out. It doesn't mean you can't have sugar, but it just means, how do I try to balance it all together? Because sugar, artificial flavors, and allergens tend to increase symptoms of attention deficit disorder or difficulty with executive functioning. Nutrition and depression. Again, studies implicated that if you have a low intake of fish or omega-3 fatty acids, fruits and vegetables, as well as deficiencies in micronutrients such as folic acid, thiamine, magnesium, these are risk factors for depression. So we really want to make sure that we're getting a regular intake of those different foods and micronutrients. Also, again, relatively high amounts of refined sugar and processed foods also tend to increase the risk of depression. Again, it will not cause it, but if you're predisposed or if you're struggling already, it is only going to make it worse. Nutrition and anxiety. So nutrition helps decrease anxiety by boosting the levels of serotonin, right? The calming feel-good brain chemical. It also decreases the levels of cortisol and adrenaline, which are important if we're needing to address something kind of in an urgent matter. But high levels of cortisol on a kind of like that fight or flight response that people with anxiety tend to have a lot, or just are kind of like this, like walking on eggshells, always hypervigilant, your cortisol levels are going to be very high and really going to affect your microbiome as well as your mood and anxiety. And so we want to be able to decrease those stress hormones and increase, right, our serotonin. And the healthy diet strengthens our immune system and lowers our blood pressure. Nutrition, and then trauma and stress. High levels of stress affect many of our body's functions, including our metabolism. We get chronic inflammation, our blood sugar becomes imbalanced, and our cardiovascular system also becomes affected. So certain foods will be able to modify the genetic and psychological aspects of our brain and gut to be able to combat this substantial amount of stress-induced mental disorders. So we always want to be able to look at that too. If somebody's coming in with a lot of trauma and stress, we typically also want to look at their diet and how can we affect some of that to try to give them some more protective factors. So how can you support your mood through your food?
Greta,
Yeah.
Greta, this is Jillian, the district administrator. I just want to bring up a question that was entered in the chat referring to a previous slide really quickly.
Sure.
And Karen asks, does Greek yogurt count as probiotic rich?
As long as it is unflavored, like you don't want to get the vanilla, you don't want to get that Greek yogurt. What's good about that is it has protein in it, but any kind of unflavored yogurt is going to be able to have the probiotics in it. I shouldn't say that any, like I've seen Trix yogurt out there, don't get that. Like, again, nothing that is sweetened. But yes, Greek yogurt will also, as long as it's unflavored, will have the probiotics you need. Any other questions?
That's
All right.
all right now on the chat.
No problem. No, good question. So ways to support your mood through food, right? Cutting back on overly processed foods. Foods that are high in added sugar, again, increase our inflammation, spike our blood sugar levels, and it negatively impacts our mood and energy throughout the day. You can all probably relate, myself included, right? When I'm in a hurry, I'm usually eating overly processed foods or, you know, something that is very prepared, probably has a lot of additives in it, and you get that slump, right? You might feel good for that initial energy as your body's working through it, but then it doesn't last long. And we tend to then go into low energy, low motivation. And so we have to watch that too, is, all right, how do I try to choose the foods that will give me more what we call a satiety index so that they will last longer in our body and our brain? Also eating sugary cereals, white bread, candy, juices, and other sweet or refined foods throughout the day. We again get those mood swings and spike in energy and then a drop in energy. We want it to be more regular. Again, this is not about you can't ever eat any of these things. It's just making sure that you've got a balance between it or noticing when are some times to eat it that might not affect how you feel and how you function. Including whole grain carbohydrates throughout the day. Whole grain breads, multigrain crackers, quinoa, brown rice, oatmeal, all of these ensure our brains have a constant supply of energy. And these nutrients, right, they help prevent the dips in our energy levels and therefore help to maintain our mood, our energy, and our concentration. Protein optimizes brain functioning and strengthens the body. This is also getting a lot of publicity lately. There's a lot of new diets out there on protein. I think AARP put together even a book about for obviously, you know, the older generation having at least 20 grams of protein, at 20 to 30 grams of protein at each meal. So this is something that a lot of research is being put into as how protective it is for our functioning. It's an essential building block for our muscles, our bones, our hormones, and the brain. It optimizes our brain functioning. It provides our body with necessary B vitamins, iron, magnesium, zinc, and a lot of other vital nutrients. And it is also necessary to produce neurotransmitters. The serotonin, there it comes again, and noradrenaline. They are both happy neurotransmitters that are made from food. Best sources of these come from pastured, grass-fed, lean meats, including poultry, beef, legumes, beans, eggs, cheese, tofu, and fish.
Greta,
Um,
can I pause again and just address a question in the chat?
Of course.
Debbie asks, and you might address this in the coming slides, about how tea and coffee can influence. Maybe you're putting good food in, but you're still drinking your tea and coffee, and how that might have an effect.
Yes, and tea and coffee can be good. Again, the as much as I love a good latte from Starbucks or another coffee place, all the added sugar, right? The syrups, the whipped cream, the all of those things, right? They kind of discount the actual good effects from coffee. Tea in itself typically is pretty good, but there are certain types of tea that are better. I do have, I think, a little bit of information on that. I don't go into a lot about coffee and tea, but again, coffee by itself has some good, not micronutrients, I'm kind of forgetting the word. But there's the certain components of the coffee bean that are actually good. And certainly it's not bad, but as most people would say, if you drink it black, that's going to be best. Or drinking it with whole milk or heavy cream, believe it or not, is like a heavy fat is good for it as well. Again, consult your physician because of different people's conditions, right? I don't want to recommend that, but unsweetened stuff is going to be the best. It's when we put in all that stuff that makes our coffee taste delicious. Usually that's not going to be the best thing for us. Does that answer your question?
Mhm.
At
Thank
least
you.
mostly for now, no problem. I do get into a little bit of tea later. So obviously, as we talked a lot about minimizing our sugar intake, right? Studies really link our excess glucose consumption to depression and anxiety, as well as our memory and cognitive deficiencies. Satisfy your hunger first by filling up on the healthy fats and proteins. So taking, if you start to have that midday, like I'm starting to get hungry, but it's not time for a meal, make sure you have like some nuts, some apple slices with peanut butter, right? Here we are combining a fiber with a protein. Snack plate of cheddar cheese, olives, avocado slices. Those are really good, healthy fats. If you're still craving sweets, right, try a cup of the unsweetened full fat yogurt with a sprinkle of granola or berries, something like that. Certainly we can still get, a taste of sweetness. But again, if you need to have, or if you want to have something else, just make sure you're also trying to say, let me still try to do something with a protein, a good carbohydrate or a healthy fat. And if I'm still feeling like I need something, then maybe you do pop in a little piece of candy. Enjoying fatty fish. Seafood like wild-caught salmon, cod, tuna, sardines, mackerel are very high in brain healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Again, not everybody likes them, so you can take an omega-3 supplement, but there's a very positive connection between omega-3 and reduced symptoms of depression, postpartum depression, and bipolar disorder, all within the mood disorder category. It also, a diet rich in omega-3 is shown for lower risk of dementia. So really important to be able to get that in every day. Eat your greens. We've always been told that, right? But leafy greens like our spinach, our kale, our romaine lettuce, mustard greens, collard greens, they can be tasty, but they're also amazingly good for you. They are high in folate, which is associated with reduced anxiety, depression, and fatigue. Nuts and seeds, they provide tryptophan, which is an amino acid responsible for producing, again, that serotonin, which is so important for how we feel. So good nuts for that are almonds, cashews, walnuts. Good seeds for that would be pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds. I always put together just a little snack mix that I have by my desk so that it can give me a little bit of that throughout the day. I even have one in my car, prevents me from maybe driving through a drive-through. It'll get me through until I can be able to get home. Iron, low iron can cause fatigue, depression, and the proteins found in iron help maintain our healthy brain function and development. So good sources of iron are potatoes, turkey, cashews, kidney beans, and quinoa. Vitamin C is also very important. It assists the body's ability to make neurotransmitters like our dopamine or serotonin. Both work to stabilize mood. So those are very important to also incorporate. More mood boosting foods, carbohydrates, right? This boosts our tryptophan levels, which boost our serotonin. It is a mood regulator. So again, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, legumes, apples, chickpeas, oatmeal, strawberries, pumpkin seeds. those omega-3 fatty acids, right? We've talked about that, but other sources are flax seeds, walnuts, avocados, olives, and then we've talked about all those fatty fish. Antioxidants, this is protecting the brain from oxidative stress and inflammation. It enhances our memory and concentration. Here's where the tea comes in. Green tea is a great antioxidant. Berries such as blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, dark chocolate, and a variety of nuts. Increasing our melatonin. I think a lot of us have been hearing a lot about melatonin and it helps for sleep. A lot of us this day, with all the constant stress and distraction, seem to be carrying around a lot less melatonin in our bodies, which is why we're needing it to be able to help us with sleep. But it also has a calming effect just throughout the day. You have to watch how much you take, so it's not going to put you to sleep, but it's a great thing to do if you're needing a little bit of help getting to sleep, relaxing. Drinking tart cherry juice or eating tart cherries, grapes, the red variety, barley, broccoli, pistachios, and dark green vegetables all have melatonin in them. Vitamin D, living in Illinois, I think everybody is vitamin D deficient. We just don't get enough sun. And these deficiencies, we see a big spike in the winter months with the seasonal affective disorder or SAD. So vitamin D, we mostly get through sun. And since we don't get a lot of it here, we only get it in certain months, we have to look at food and our vitamin supplements. Most people are being tested. I don't even know when pediatricians are doing it now. I've seen them test as young as 10. They might even be testing younger than that now because they know that the vitamin D has such a big effect on their functioning. So if you are experiencing any kind of mood stuff, if you just have low energy, it would be something, if your doctor hasn't tested you for it at your regular checkup, I would absolutely request them to check your vitamin D levels. And then selenium-rich foods, these are types of seafood, nuts and seeds, Brazil nuts in particular, lean meat, whole grains, beans and legumes, and low-fat dairy. And so if you keep thinking about this, right, I keep repeating a lot of the same foods. And so what's really cool is you can eat one food that can actually do almost every category. So that's something too. It's not like I have to have this and I have to have this and I have to, no, you can choose a couple of things that actually can have the omega-3, the antioxidants, the selenium. You can do a lot of different things with the same type of food. And then I wanted to make special note of vitamin Bs because they are extremely important in our mental and emotional functioning. Vitamin Bs really focus on our nervous system. And when our nervous system is working well, we are in control, we are not reactive. But yet when our nervous system is not working well, we are very reactive, we are very on edge, we can be very irritable, and we feel very anxious. So it's very important to be able to protect our nervous system, and we can do that in lots of ways, but vitamin B is one way we can do it. Has a direct impact on our heart, our mood, our performance, our weight, and even digestion. B vitamins and the essential nutrient, which is choline, are critical for our mental health through methylation. And it's kind of this, we think of methylation as the driver of our turn-on processes in the body. It's what helps everything start to go. And so vitamin B1, which is called thiamine, it benefits our nervous system by aiding in the creation of acetylcholine. And that relays your messages from your brain to your muscles, influencing our movement and behavior. It also helps in cognition and memory, and it even plays a role in regulating our hormones and sleep cycles. So if you have a thiamine deficiency, you can experience fatigue faster, you'll be more confused, poor short-term memory. So any of those symptoms, you might want to look at your vitamin B level. Vitamin B2 is your riboflavin. This ensures proper growth and development of the nervous and immune system. It also works as an oxidative stress and inflammation of nerves to reduce it. And it contributes, if you're low in it, it can contribute to migraine headaches. It also plays a significant role in the production of energy as it does the conversion of carbohydrates to sugar, which fuels many functions in the body. Vitamin B6, you don't hear much about this, but pyridoxine creates and metabolizes serotonin and norepinephrine. These are the neurotransmitters, right? We've talked about in almost every slide. It's our mood and stress regulators. So when you have deficiency in vitamin B6, you will feel tired, probably nervous, irritable, and depression can be common. Then folate, which is B9, and B12 are the B vitamins most widely recognized. There's a great book if anybody wants more information on this. Dr. Uma Naidu, her book is called This Is Your Brain on Food. She's a Harvard-trained psychiatrist, professional chef, and a trained nutrition specialist. So according to her, folate, which is B9, is used for cell development throughout your body, and deficiencies can interfere with your DNA synthesis and repair and overall cellular function in the brain, leading to chronic fatigue, depression, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorders. So those two are extremely important in our mental and emotional health. Lastly, vitamin B12, it helps maintain and protect our myelin. That's the insulation around our nerves. That plays a vital role in synthesizing and metabolizing our serotonin. And deficiencies with this have also been associated with memory loss as well. So, how do you choose foods that are naturally high in B vitamins? Whole grains, meat, eggs and dairy products, legumes, seeds and nuts, dark leafy vegetables, and fruits. Shellfish is also high in folate, but aside from getting B vitamins in our diet, you can also really consider supplementation to make sure you're never lacking in these essential vitamins. A methylated B vitamin complex is your better bet to be able to keep all of those B vitamins together, rather than I have to get a B6 and a B9 and a folate and a, no, you don't. What you need is just a B complex, but you have to look at a methylated B vitamin complex that different. And again, I typically like to buy my supplements from a natural food store where you know you're getting a natural product rather than something that might be in no shame to Walgreens or CVS, but sometimes, right, some of the things that they carry on the bigger shelf is not always created in the same way that the natural supplements are. So Fruitful Yield, a Whole Foods, Vitamin Shop, any of those tend to have really good high quality vitamins that are also a lot easier to digest. So I wanted to also share an interesting trial that was just recently done, 2012 to 2015. And it's called Supporting the Modification of Lifestyle in Lowered Emotional States. That's what it stands for. And it was one of the first studies that investigated, if I improve my diet, will my mood improve? And so the participants in the study spent 12 weeks following a specific eating pattern modeled on the Mediterranean diet, which most doctors always recommend anyway. 12 weeks later, a third of those in the intervention group showed remission of major depression compared to only 8% of the control group. What's really important about this study is that they didn't have anybody monitor their calories, the amounts that they were eating. It was just eating these foods, and they could eat them however they wanted to. Just they ate to their hunger level and still had great results. What did they eat? So here's an example of what they ate on the diet. Again, whole grains, 5 to 8 servings a day. So again, incorporating a variety throughout your day. Vegetables, they had 6 servings a day. They had 3 servings of fruit a day. Legumes, 3 to 4 servings. Dairy, 2 to 3. Fish, 2 servings a week. And lean red meats, 3 to 4 servings a week. Chicken, 2 to 3 servings a week. Eggs, up to 6 a week. And olive oil, 3 tablespoons a day. So if you just take this diet, right, not only is it good for your heart health, right, it's also good for your mood health. So that's a great way to incorporate a lot of those things that will help our serotonin or norepinephrine, our dopamine, all of those mood chemicals and neurotransmitters.
Greta, this is Jillian again. There are
Yep.
just a couple questions going back to the vitamin B. And
Yep.
so the first question is, Karen asks, will the label on the vitamins say methylated?
On the vitamin B, yes. Yeah, that's not D. That's for B as in boy. Vitamin B,
Sorry,
you want the
I meant to say
methyl
B.
complex. Yes, it should. If it does not, don't buy it.
And then the other question about the vitamin B is Tiffany is asking, is it better to have a drop instead of a pill that might be better for stomach indigestion, that does to make sure it doesn't destroy the B12. And she just wanted to confirm if that's accurate.
A really good question. And that is where I might say, talk to a nutritionist about that. Absolutely. There are a lot of people that can't swallow pills. So to your point, there are liquid variations out there. I am just not as familiar with those, but yes, I'm sure there are some, but again, it depends on, how it's made. It depends on the concentration levels, right? How you would be able to do that. So because that is not my expertise, I would say talk to a nutritionist, dietitian, and or your physician, and they should be able to guide you in the right direction about what to eat, how to or how to be able to, instead of taking a pill, how you would do that with a liquid format.
And that's it for the questions.
No problem. Those are great questions. So helpful tips. Eat regularly. This is the other thing to do. There's a lot of, and I'm not here to say that no diet is effective. I think there are lots of them out there that people have had great success with. But what we know to regulate our energy, to regulate our mood, our body needs something to constantly process it, right? So if we're eating regularly, and that means we're putting something in our body at least every 3 to 4 hours. So depending on when you eat your meals, if you choose to eat meals, right, you can still snack throughout the day, right? Every 3 to 4 hours max. But it's really important to have something in between your meals to be able to give you that constant flux of energy, and ability to support your mood. So it's just something we really, really highly suggest, especially within our community of mental health, rather than, a lot of people are doing the intermittent fasting now. Okay, again, I'm not saying that's not okay for you, but if you're struggling maybe with your mood and anxiety, you may want to say, I might need to do something a little different. Breakfast, it's so important for so many reasons. It improves our mood, better memory, better energy throughout the day, and feelings of calmness. Right? Fiber, lean protein, good fats, and whole grain carbohydrates are really good to be able to mix for your breakfast. Slow release energy foods, right, are pasta, rice, oats, whole grain bread, and cereals, and nuts and seeds. Lots of things. Again, you can even combine different things. Avocado toast is one of those examples. On whole grain bread, then you have the avocado, which is a healthy fat, and maybe you're putting some sesame seeds on top of it, right? Lots of really good combinations right there. Avoiding foods which make your blood sugar rise and fall rapidly. We talked about that. Sweets, biscuits, although they taste so good, they really are just a bunch of white flour and just not great for our memory and our mood. Sugary drinks, and alcohol. Staying hydrated throughout the day, always making sure you've got something water-based to be able to drink. There are those people that just don't like plain water. There's a lot of different things out there that can flavor your water, or even making it with, lemon, cucumber, orange slices, giving it a little bit of flavor. Then you're getting your vitamin C, which is also important. And again, protecting your gut. The pre and probiotics are super important. Also, I really encourage all of you, if you're looking to maybe make some changes or looking to say, I wonder how what I eat affects how I feel, then start keeping a journal. Like, take into account not only what you're eating, but also the context in your eating, right? You can gain a lot of different insights from that. Track things like, what did you eat and drink? How much of it, right? And when did you eat it? For example, was it before or after exercising? Was it right before bed? Was it right before maybe something stressful, right? Maybe it didn't help your digestion. So just learning how your body works with what you eat is important. Did you skip a meal? How did you feel because of that? Were you in a good mood, bad mood? Did your mood fluctuate throughout the day? Did your energy? Did you have that 2 p.m.? Like, I just can't keep my eyes open. It would be important to say, well, what was I eating that maybe might have contributed to that? Or what was I not eating that contributed to that? Also important to say, where am I eating, right? We're such a busy society. we all have a lot of different roles and responsibilities. So some of us eat in the car, right? Some of us are eating on the go as we're standing up. It's really important to notice that also can affect our digestion. And so you can eat really great things, but if you're eating in a very stressful rush situation, you may not be doing all that you can to be able to help your nervous system relax and do what it can to be able to metabolize the food that you need. Do you have symptoms that might be related to food and mood? For example, did you have heartburn after you eat? Are you tired and cranky the next day or later on? Those kinds of things to really start to go, okay, maybe something I'm eating is actually contributing to how I'm feeling. How does what you eat affect you emotionally, right? Any kind of emotions that come up when you eat. How does what you eat affect you physically? Energy, digestive issues, all of that. This is how you can start to determine what are the optimal times a day for me to eat, right? Am I giving myself enough time to eat so that I have a healthier meal? And are you eating at times of the day to get the right level of energy for your daily activities? And then lastly, some tips to incorporate all of these mood boosting foods we've talked about. Plan ahead, right? We talk a lot about meal prep. It can really help ensure that you've got what you need for the days ahead, not just that certain meal, so that you're not running to the vending machine. So we're not running through the drive-through all the time. It's just important to be able to ensure that we're getting in nutrient-dense foods each week. So prepare your meals in advance. And also you can do healthy food swaps sometimes if you're planning ahead, such as like if I've got a refined grain, but then I choose lean protein over processed meat. So you've got everything prepared and ready to go. Cooking at home. It does allow you to control the ingredients in your meals. Certainly, I love somebody else cooking for me, but we want to be able to have a good balance in how much we're eating out as opposed to how much we're eating at home, because we don't know what everybody else is putting in their foods. Yet when we cook, we know what we're adding. Excessive sugars can happen, unhealthy fats and how they cook. It's also important to try new recipes. It can be a fun way to involve your whole family and trying different things out. Even going grocery shopping and saying, I'm going to add one new vegetable, I'm going to add one new fruit to my meal this week. Snack wisely, right? Keeping healthy snacks on hand. I talked about my nut mix, some yogurt, some fruit, crackers, cheese, different things like that help stabilize your blood sugar throughout the day. And again, choosing snacks that are rich in fiber, healthy fats, and protein helps manage the cravings and prevent our overeating cycle. Staying hydrated, we talked about that. It is crucial for our mental health. Dehydration can lead to mood swings, fatigue, and difficulty concentrating. So again, make sure that you're drinking water throughout the day. Mindful eating. This is a great practice to be able to really focus on how the food affects you and how it tastes. Again, if we're shoveling food in, we're probably not really paying attention to how does it feel? Is it something that we're satisfied with? But the more we pay attention, the slower we eat. And typically then we're going to fill ourselves faster and then not have something where we're at the end of a meal, we feel very unsatisfied. So mindful eating would be an approach where we tend to look at our plate, right? What do I see, right? So we use all of our five senses. What do I see? What are the colors? What do I hear? It might be, things around the room. It might be the chatter at the table. It might be sizzling of a meat. I don't know, as you're cooking it. And what do I smell? Obviously, all the smells of all the things on your plate. What do I feel, right? When you're eating, is it crunchy? Is it warm? Is it smooth? Is it cold? What do you taste, right? All trying to taste that flavor that you maybe put in it. Oh, it has oregano. Can I taste it in there? But when we're doing that, we're much more involved in how we eat, and typically it's a much more satisfying meal. So try that sometimes. Another great way to do mindful eating is use your non-dominant hand. So I'm right-handed, I would use my left hand. It makes me go slower and I have to think about what I'm doing. So I'm much more focused and attentive and present in that experience of eating. So maybe just try that once or twice and just see how that meal might change for you. And then lastly, incorporating a variety, right? Eating a wide variety of foods ensures you get a broad spectrum of nutrients that support your mental health. right? Experimenting with different things if you haven't before. It also helps keep them interesting. We kind of tend to look forward to it a little bit more. It also prevents nutrient deficiencies and promotes our overall well-being. And there you go.
Hi, Greta. This is Jillian again. We do have a couple more questions. If you do refer to the chat, Greg does mention a B12 with intrinsic factor that he was prescribed by his doctor, so he provided that information.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.
And then Debbie has a question about the difference between pre and probiotics.
Yes, not my specialty again. But so prebiotics sort of prepares your gut, and then the probiotic helps protect it. If I'm kind of saying that correct, that's my best way of explaining it. Let's see. I'm not going to even, I'm kind of blanking on what good prebiotics are, but most of what we hear about are doing probiotics. There are some probiotics out there that have a combination of pre and pro, but again, this is something that it's the wheelhouse of nutritionists and dietitians to be able to explain that process. I know more about the probiotic piece, but they're both helpful and both can be effective, but the probiotic piece is what we focus on more for the mental health and protecting the gut itself. So sorry, I can't offer more information on that.
And then there's just one question in general. The slides will be available on the District 6440 website, the Mental Health Task Force page, as well as the district's YouTube page, and the calendar on the district's website will always have the Zoom link. But I will turn it over to Mary or Sharon if you guys want to do some more questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Greta and Jillian, for monitoring the chat, and Greta for coming up with all of the answers. And when you don't know the answer, you move us to somebody that does, which is very, very helpful and appreciated. It might be helpful actually if we could upload the slides separately from the recording, because those slides are things that people may want to, take a copy of or take a screenshot to. So maybe Jillian, you can do that. But I really learned a lot today, and I'm sure that everyone else has something to walk away from. We hear a lot about food. We hear a lot about the right things to eat, and I think you've helped clarify some things and probably sent us off on doing a little bit more research on things that are coming out of our refrigerators or out of our pantries and onto our plates. So I totally appreciate your being with us today, Greta, and thank you, Sharon, for bringing Greta to us. And once again, we'll have another session of the Mental Health Task Force next month on the first Monday of the month. So I urge you to follow the which will be, I think it's April 10. Let me see here. It's April 7th. But watch the 411, look at the district website, and we'll be sure to let you know who the speakers are going to be in the next couple of months.
And Mary, this is Jillian again. Pat Boquist did have something she'd like to mention about a mental health fair going on.
I'm sorry, I was going to say that and I forgot. So thank you, Jillian, and thank you, Pat. Let's bring it up.
Sure, thank you. So on Sunday, the 18th of May, Barrington Rotary Club and Barrington Area Library are going to be hosting a mental health fair from 2 until 4 p.m. We will get the information to the district so you can put it on the calendar. But we're really, really excited because Meg Kissinger, who you guys may remember from, I believe it was our November talk, is going to be doing a chat along with 2 other mental health panelists. We will also have nonprofits that focus on mental health, and we'll probably have 8 to 10 of those tables out there. So we're really excited. We're grateful to this group because that gave us the idea, because Glenview Club had done this. And so why not? So excited about that.
Thank you very much, Pat. Hello, Terry. Good to see
Hi
you
there.
as well.
That's awesome. Can I
What-
also share that we are also putting on a wellness resource fair that's focusing a lot on mental health as well. And that is April 26th, from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And there it's at the Bueller YMCA. We are partnering with Healthy Family, Healthy Kids Day that they do. And so we will have 4 presentations. I am actually doing one on nervous system regulation. We'll be practicing some relaxation, grounding. We'll be having a couple of physical exercises, yoga, for nervous system regulation and relaxation and mental health and well-being. And then there's a family Zumba class. And then they'll also be talking about internet safety, the Palatine Police Department. And then there will be hundreds of vendors there as well. So if anybody's interested in that, you can always
Please.
reach out to me.
Yeah, please send us the information and we can definitely spread the word through the mental health page.
You bet.
And we're gonna slip in a commercial. We have collaborative grants available for all the clubs that want to join together and build a better mental health for all of us.
Thank you, Mike. There was a theme last year on mental health for the collaborative grants. This year, we're not quite as restrictive, but anything in that area of mental health would be most appreciated for clubs that are thinking about working together. So thanks for that reminder. And with that, I think we'll close the meeting for today. And thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next month or one of the events coming up. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Greta, you
Thanks
were
for having
terrific.
me.
Greta, thank you very much. I look forward to speaking with you further.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Thanks.
everybody. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.